Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday, so you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update. John, let's get right to it. I want to start with Brooklyn supply, 2,662. Looks like it's ticking up. Show me that chart.
Yeah, Brooklyn supply has been having a really tough time as of late, but it seems like that trend is sort of uptrend is sort of set in place. We're up 3% on the weekend. I think heading into listing season here, I think Brooklyn supply is starting to be in a much better place than it was a month ago.
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, it is April. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a buy right here, I'm seeing it, but I don't think I'm impressed. I'm not feeling it in the streets. And that's probably because of Brooklyn demand. Let's shift over to Brooklyn demand. Pending sales, 3,260. That's ticking up as well, Johnny. Show me that chart.
Yeah, it's up again, 3,260. We're approaching the highs we saw, the record highs we saw actually last summer. So that's exactly why you're not really feeling it, because there's just the demand right now is just outpacing even last year's demand. So demand in Brooklyn just still running very high.
Yeah, and I wonder if rates rising, if there's a little FOMO going on. We've been talking about this for weeks. A lot of buyers are rushing in to kind of lock in the rates before it gets too high. One look at that 10-year treasury, you look at 2.77%. Folks, we've been talking about the 10-year treasury yield in the bond market. We go out of our comfort zone when we feel like we need to here on UrbanDigs. And we've been talking about this for weeks now for anyone that's willing to listen. And John, this has doubled. This has doubled since early December. And you know what, guys, if you're going to see something, you're going to see it in the weeklies. And let's shift to the weeklies and let's see if there's any indication that this market is slowing in terms of deal volume. First, supply, Johnny, 288 things in Brooklyn. That looks like it's down 12%. Show me that chart.
Yeah, down 12%. So if you're talking about something slowing, it looks like new actives have actually slowed. We're heading into a holiday week, right? The New York City public schools are going on spring break next week. So you might see a drop in activity, especially the listing side in the coming days here. But looking at these new actives, Noah, I mean, I'm looking at this chart and I'm seeing how we compared against last year, and we're still not even breaking above the line from last year. So we just talked about how Brooklyn supply has kind of turned that corner, but it still could use a lot more.
I think it's one of those things that on a monthly level, Brooklyn supply is actually trending up. But if you look at it on a weekly shorter level, it's like, it's starting to slow a little bit. So we still got that monthly force kind of in play, pushing supply up. But when we focus on demand and we focus on contracts signed on a 1 week period, 244, that's up around 11%. And if you're going to see a slowdown, Johnny, you're going to see it here first. That is not going to go up. That's going to go down. I don't see that. I see it going up. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, that's not a slowdown. That's a speed up. And, this is the highest number we've seen this year on a weekly level. And, we're outpacing where we were last year. So, you put these two things together and even though supply has kind of turned the corner, demand still rules the day right now in Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Demand rules the day. And let's take a look at how that demand is interpreting in terms of listing discount, right? Listing discount. It's helpful on the buy side to understand negotiability. It's helpful on the sell side for sellers to understand they got to reduce their price and they got to negotiate as well. And when we take every single one of these closings, Johnny, in year 2022, so this is this year to date, every closing this year, and you put it in a bucket, you shake that up, and then you break it up by price point. This is what you're looking at. First off, I will just point out that the whole thing, right? The whole shebang, you look at about 3% negotiability, right? Your lowest negotiability, this is just crazy, is going to be in your 2 million plus sector, Johnny.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's interesting, right? Well, I think that's where you're going to find your townhouses and your larger apartments. And I think that's been part of the drive for Brooklyn since the reopening is folks shifting toward townhouses and larger apartments, and they found them in Brooklyn. And, especially that 2 million price point in Brooklyn is similar kind of to the 4 million price point in Manhattan. It kind of starts shifting to luxury. And it's just, there's certainly a lot of townhouses out there in Brooklyn, but how many are really sort of at that luxury level? It's, you start getting into a diminishing supply with an increased amount of buyers. And this is exactly what you're going to see.
Yeah, it's such a rare confluence of events going on. These forces that are powering these markets. It's really quite something to see it. I mean, usually you get to the higher price points and that listing discount increases. So this is something to see. And finally, this is going to be your last ask. This is going to be your last ask negotiability, right? That first one was original ask. This is going to be your last ask, and look at, again, that 2 million sector. There's just no negotiability here. I guess if you're in Brooklyn, your biggest negotiability from a buyer standpoint, from negotiability is going to be that 1.5 to 2 million sector, and then it stops right after that. Last word, Johnny, on this chart?
No, I mean, because I just look at this all number, right? So if you just put all the sales in one bucket from the last asking price, I mean, really, sellers are walking away with, just from the original listing discount, 97% of their asking price. And even if you have a price cut, you're 1.46. I mean, it's absolutely amazing right now. So we go back to what we were talking about in the previous section. Demand rules the day in Brooklyn. Clearly that's what's happening here still. It's going to take a lot more supply in order to sort of start shifting this dynamic.
Yeah, there's a bid for Brooklyn. There's a bid for Brooklyn. There's liquidity right there. Again, I'm not seeing it in the contract signed yet. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm not seeing it right now. And if I'm a seller in Brooklyn and I find myself on the market 60, 90 plus days and I'm not seeing it in my action for my property, then it's not the market. It is your price. Do something and do something quick. Thank you, John Walkup, for getting all this data together. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both with UrbanDigs. Don't forget, you guys got questions. We have answers. Please check out our forum. If you want any of the reports that John whipped up today, they'll be right over here in your research notes. Other than that, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks because we're off next week for the holidays. So we'll see you next time.